All right, let's jump right in. What we're exploring today is a story that's, well, it's less about characters and more about these huge primal forces. We're talking about a metaphysical showdown, a cosmic conflict between two powerful archetypes, the will to build and the absolute necessity of change.
And the parable kicks off just like all great myths do, with this image of incredible power and mystery. This one line just sets the entire stage for a story that feels both ancient and deeply philosophical. You've got this emerald spire, this great statue. You know this is going to be about creation, about sacrifice, and maybe about the very meaning of existence itself.
So who is this statue? Well, our first major player, our first archetype, is a figure named Wotan. And he represents everything about order, creation, and that raw will you need to build something brand new out of, well, nothing.
Wotan is the statue. Think of him as a philosophical idea made real. He's standing there in what the story calls the seventh solitude, this lonely, isolated peak where he's built his masterpiece, the Emerald Spire. He's the creator, the one solitary figure who actually dares to put meaning onto a world that is fundamentally chaotic.
He's the embodiment of a really powerful idea, one you've probably heard of, the will to power. And this isn't just about dominating people. It's about that fundamental drive inside all things, to grow, to create new values, to smash through the old limits. He's basically ambition and endurance brought to life.
And this just nails Wotan's central weakness, his Achilles heel. His greatest strength, his ability to make something that lasts, is also his greatest danger. See, his creation could become a static prison, what the text calls a God-sized cage. And that's the paradox, right? Freedom that's turned to stone isn't really freedom anymore. For a creator, standing still is the same as dying.
But of course, every creation invites a challenge. Every idea calls for its opposite. And for this unmoving stone statue on a mountain, that challenge comes roaring in the form of a laughing, chaotic fire, the Crimson Jester.
So meet the Jester. And he is not a simple villain, not at all. He's called the Mountain Man of Self-Love. And his weapon, it's a mirror. He represents the dance of the all-will, the constant, unstoppable motion of the universe. He's a necessary rival, here to call the very idea of permanence into question.
This quote, this perfectly sums up the Jester's entire philosophy. He is the chaos that's needed for any real creation. Where Wotan builds these heavy monuments, the Jester is a wildfire. He doesn't build structures, he burns away the old, stagnant stuff to make room for something new to be born. He is the dancing star.
And there it is, the central conflict laid bare. On one side, you've got the statue, stability, order, the past. And on the other, you have the dance, chaos, change, the future. Wotan is trying to carve meaning into solid stone. The Jester is here to prove that all stone eventually turns back into dust.
So just when you think you kind of get the dynamic, the story just pulls the rug out from under you. The Jester, this character who is all about freedom, appears to fall. But this fall, this is the setup for the story's biggest twist.
We actually see his fall. The dance in this city, Neo-Arcadia, it looks like it's over. It's framed as this tragic defeat, a capture that kicks off an age of darkness. The agent of chaos has apparently been put in a box.
And who are his captors? These guys, the Red Judges. They're basically a tribunal of negation. They are entropy personified. They don't want to create, they don't want to dance. Their entire goal is to bring about the heat death of meaning, to prove that any attempt to build something is just a lie and that the human spirit will and should collapse in on itself. But here is where the whole story pivots. What if this capture wasn't a defeat at all? What if it was all part of a much, much bigger plan?
This is the Sovereign Gambit. Okay, get this. The Jester made a deal, a kind of Faustian bargain, but with an impossible escape clause. He agreed to serve the Red Judges, but only until he finds a moment so perfect, so beautiful, that he wishes for it to last forever. Now, for a being who is perpetual motion, who is the dance itself, that's a condition he is never, ever going to meet. His fall was a Trojan horse. He got captured on purpose to destroy the very idea of stagnation from the inside out.
So now we have to zoom out, because this isn't just a battle between two guys anymore. It's a full-on cosmic war fought in a metaphysical courtroom between two totally opposite views of what existence is even for.
On one side, you have the white judges, the architects. They believe in the agonizing joy of becoming, that beautiful but painful struggle of creating and overcoming. On the other side
are the red judges, the deniers. They preach the sweet oblivion of entropy, that seductive comfort of just giving up and dissolving into nothing. It is the ultimate battle, affirmation versus negation. And at the very heart of this huge conflict is this powerful idea of synthesis. The story is arguing that the defiant laugh of the creator prophet Zarathustra and the willing sacrifice of the martyr, the Nazarene, they're not opposites, they're twin necessities. It's saying that true strength requires both the will to build and the strength to bleed for what you've built, and Wooten has to become.
And this is the very synthesis that the Jester has been weaponized to destroy. His whole mission inside the court of the Red Judges is to deploy a very specific and a very, very dangerous intellectual weapon.
And here it is, the uncanny equation. This is the core of the Jester's riddle of irony. His argument is that the hero, the creator, like Wotan, and the herd, the masses, are deep down the same. Why? Because both of them are driven by a desperate need to validate their own existence against the great scary void. One builds monuments, the other huddles together for warmth, but both, he argues, are just running from the same terrifying emptiness. And this just illustrates his strategy perfectly. The Jester's weapon isn't a sword, it's a megaphone. It's mockery, it's irony, it's nihilism. He doesn't need to physically tear down Wotan's emerald spire. All he has to do is whisper into the ears of its creator and its people that the whole thing is a meaningless joke and the entire structure will collapse from the inside.
So, how does this end? How does the statue survive an attack on meaning itself? By finally understanding the true nature of the dance.
Wotan looks into the Jester's broken mirror and has this profound aha moment. He realizes the Jester isn't his enemy at all. He's a fellow creator. This whole act, this alliance with the forces of nothingness, it's a self-destructive, suicidal mission to destroy them. And the only way to save the Jester, and to save himself, is for Wotan to finally embrace that full synthesis, the creator's will and the creator's sacrifice.
And this just brings us right back to the beginning, full circle. The Jester was never trying to build anything. He was the tightrope walker over the abyss, carrying a torch that was consuming him. His whole purpose was to burn away the old, even if it cost him everything, to prove that true creation requires constant fiery motion.
Which leaves us with the story's final, really powerful question. In a world that demands we don't run from our own fire, that we become who we are, who is the true creator? The one who builds the monument, or the one who dances in its ashes?